I want to talk about the national anthem, all the publicity it's gotten for guys kneeling and whatnot. And John Tortorella, a coaching Team USA, comes out and says, any one of my players that kneels for the national or sits for the national anthem will sit the game. People took exception to that.
Yeah.
To me, if I look at it, if I have an opinion, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. I feel like you kind of set your tone as a hockey team, and he's a very intense guy, it seems like. But I feel like I don't have a problem with it. I know James Harrison came out in football and said, if you're not standing for the national anthem, it better be because you have a broken leg or I'm going to break your leg.
Yeah.
But I feel like hockey's that same way. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of tradition in it, but there's a lot of class as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's an out either, but, people do have strong beliefs about all of that, and everybody's going to, do what they believe in. But in that case, I'd like to think that that's a coach just setting a standard for your team. He is a very...
He's intense.
I
got to say, he's
crazy.
Intense.
I mean, but he's been around the game a long time, and he's obviously been successful. What he possibly could have done is just shown his team to say, you know what we do together. And if we're going to kneel together for a cause, well, then let's do it together and let's live with it and we'll deal with it. But him, in his world, any experience that I've seen from him is there is no I in team. And if we're going to do it, we're all going to do it. So if you want to go be your own guy, then you won't be on my team.
But that's, I feel like that reflects leadership. Like, I feel like captain will come over in hockey and say, hey, we're doing this as a team. I give Seattle Seahawks a lot of credit where Doug Baldwin said, we'll lock arms and whatever. But I just feel like hockey, you're held accountable more than other sports. And I feel like I said, I don't have a problem with him saying that because I feel like if it wasn't going to be him saying that, it was going to be the captain of your team or one of your enforcers saying, hey, this is important to us. You're Team USA too.
It's such a tough because the individual beliefs, it's such a fine line right there that
absolutely,
the freedom to say what you want is great, but at the same time, you need to show the respect to everybody that needs to be shown. So it's a tough thing. So yeah, Tortorella, I'm sure every protocol in the NHL, every coach now has thought about this. I'm sure the USHL, everyone's thought about this.
I can't believe we're thinking about it. It's great. Yeah, it's a tough subject. It's something that in my lifetime I didn't think that would happen, but
yeah,
that's the world we live in. We're going to step out for our break. When we return, we're going to have more here. It's the first show of the season. And welcome back to our program here. Jason Uppick along with Scott Jewett. We just got a chance to talk to head coach and general manager of the Green Bay Gamblers, Pat Minkish. Wednesday, we're heading to Pittsburgh for the USHL Fall Classic. Right behind him last year were the Dubuque Fighting Saints, and here to preview the season is their broadcaster and media relations guy, Jordan Coons. Jordan, thanks for joining us tonight. Oh, Jordan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thanks, Jordan. Appreciate your time. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. You got to bear with us. It's our first show of the season, and we've had a couple phone issues, but overall, if we give an A effort for the first show, Scott, I think we might be ripped away, and so we got to just do enough, right?
Perfect.
Well, I appreciate your time anyway, Jordan. You guys are kind of in the same boat as the Green Bay Gamblers as you finished the season with 80 points last year with a deep playoff run behind the heels of Hunter Miska and a lot of veteran support like Keegan Ford. You guys have 7 guys coming back. Talk a little bit about the Dubuque Fighting Saints coming into this season.
Well, as you mentioned, there's definitely a lot of turnover, and I'm sure we're not the only ones in that boat, whether it's just the Gamblers or the Fighting Saints here. What it comes down to is them setting the tone early. And I know I've talked about this with the coaching staff here. Head coach Jason Lammers back for his second season, is that these returners know what it's like. They went through it. Back specifically what could be considered the Coneheads line of last year, which is colloquially known. Dallas Girard, Zach Solo, Colin Tyson. They're going to be counted on quite a bit for the offensive side of things. They know what to expect in this system, which Jason Lammers likes to go a lot more up-tempo. And then Jackson Castor coming back as Hunter Miska's understudy from last year. And then there's just a smaller sample size, rather. He looks a lot better this year. So these returners definitely have to carry the torch here because, boy, there's a lot of new faces here.
And a lot of uncertainty for the coaching staff. What's your preseason schedule like? And, talk a little bit about the process there in Dubuque. What are your coaches looking for in the new players.
Right. So the preseason started with 4 games in 4 nights, which you won't even get that in the American Hockey League. Which is,
That's a crazy schedule, man.
Quite a grind. But yeah, I got a chance to see just about everybody that was in camp and got to see them play here. And really what we're looking at here in Dubuque is a bigger defense core. It's definitely a different look on defense. Last year it was a bit smaller. The depth was not as perhaps deep as this year's group, which a big thing that Jason Lammers wanted was everyone should be able to move the puck confidently and make plays. This is a D core that can do that, whether it's at even strength or on the power play. There is a decided difference in skill and moving the puck defensively. And up front, it's a good mix. It's a better mix in terms of size and skill. Last year, there were some smaller forwards returning, but this time out, it's a brand new look. You get guys like 6'5" Austin Rushhoff, who is a big difference maker out there. He's a skilled power forward, which is a really exciting facet to this Saints team. And there's some other bigger guys, or even compared to last year, it's just a different team, as I'm sure things are in Green Bay as well.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure of watching Dubuque and Green Bay, some really good games last year. And one thing I saw from Dubuque, it was, tenacious effort, not afraid to take penalties, among the most penalized team in the league, but also scoring goals at a pace. 209 goals for, far and above the most in the league. You see that as a point of emphasis to try to keep scoring goals, or is the emphasis more let's maybe not let as many in?
That's a good question. And honestly, I'm going to give it my best shot at this. To me, it seems like it's going to be a bit more of the same in the sense that if you've got depth, the ability to roll your lines and have each line be a scoring threat, it's a luxury at any level of hockey to have that. I get the feeling that's what this team is aiming for. It's the ability to be a defensive nightmare for teams, not even the regular season, but if the postseason comes along, gets to that point again, same thing. Your defense isn't going to be able to deal with 4 lines rolled that they're able to be a scoring threat on every shift. But defensively, it's a lot more mobile than last year, so that might come with a better defensive effort and, of course, a different-looking goal as well. So we'll see, really. Only 4 games deep in the preseason here, but I get the feeling it's going to be somewhat more of the same in terms of a team identity.
Well, it seems like Dubuque is always in the thick of things with the Gamblers and the Rough Riders. Good luck this season, Jordan. We appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you at the Resch Center.
Certainly. Thanks. Thanks for having me, and we'll talk to you real soon.
That's Jordan Coons, the media relations coordinator for the Dubuque Fighting Saints. We got more to come, including previewing the Bloomington Thunder and the Madison Capitals. That's coming up here on Hockey Talk on WNFL.
Hockey Talk continues on 1440 and 92.1 WNFL.
And welcome back to Hockey Talk here on WNFL. Jason Novick along with Scott Jewett. We're going to be here all season long. We're kicking things off. The Green Bay Gamblers are under 2 weeks until the home opener presented by Aurora Bay Care here at the Resch Center. Hockey is back. Summer's over. It's done with. Back to ice. When they put ice back into the Resch Center, it was over. We're previewing the season, and our next phone call here's with Dan Corcoran from the Bloomington Thunder to give a preview. And Dan, good afternoon, buddy. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. We're back to hockey here in Green Bay and, of course, Bloomington and the USHL as we get set for the Fall Classic East in Pittsburgh. I got to say, as we preview the Eastern Conference here and look at the Bloomington Thunder, the one thing that comes to mind for me is the USHL experience, and is this a playoff or bust type season?
I think I've already said it a couple of times, honestly, this season that, making the playoffs, obviously an expectation for every team at the start of the season in September. But I think, truly be honest with you, this team doesn't, I don't know if need is the right word, but the expectation is certainly there that not only to get to the playoffs this year, but to go far into the playoffs like the Thunder did last season, because expectations were set pretty high last year. Bar was set high by last year's team, making it all the way to the Eastern Conference Final as the number 4 seed in the East. And this year I would expect the same thing, the same expectation, if not to make it to the Clark Cup Finals and maybe win the Clark Cup for the first time in Thunder history. Of
course, the Bloomington Thunder went 36-18-5 and won last year, 78 points. What's funny about that, just 7 points out of first place. I mean, it was so tight in the Eastern Conference. Like you said, that veteran leadership might be the difference.
Yeah, and I think especially, too, this year, you do lose a couple of key scorers off the last year's team, including the captain, Jake Slaker, but you have some guys returning to this year's team, including a guy in Tarek Baker, who was tied for the team lead in points last year, so he's a big returner. I think you look at some other guys down the list, too, as well. Jake Derflinger, a guy who was right up near the upper end of the scoring last year, another key returner to this year's team. I think a guy who didn't really factor in a whole lot as far as scoring went last year, but a guy who NHL scouts certainly think very highly of, and Mitchell Madsen, who was drafted this past season by the Calgary Flames. So a couple of guys who maybe didn't see a lot of time last year, didn't factor into the scoring a whole lot like Madsen, but guys who could be pretty key in deciding how far this team goes, because there's going to be some guys who are returning to this year's team with 14 returners. Still a good crop of returners, but guys who need to prove themselves and take over some big roles and fill those roles from last season from some guys who are departing.
You know, Dan, they always say it starts between the pipes, and you guys got a good one in Logan Halliday.
Yeah, I was actually talking with Logan today. He's got a special mask that he's actually going to reveal for the coming season. So exciting time for him, and kind of a cause near and dear to his heart. But he's a great kid, both on and off the ice. And I think, obviously he has a ton of experience under his belt in the USHL, and being his third season with the Thunder this year, a guy who knows how to get things done in the USHL. And I hate to say the team might go as he goes this year, but certainly if he has a great season, he's going to be a huge factor for this team throughout the campaign, and hopefully going into the postseason as well.
Yeah, and last year, I'm just going back to, I've known Coach Williams for a long time, and watching that team progress in Bloomington from the start of the season last year till the end, the compete level was always high. A very disciplined team with not very many penalties taken. I think was the lowest in the league, actually, or among the lowest 2 or 3 teams. Do you see that moving forward, or now that you have more, if you want to say experience, do you see Coach, kind of letting loose a little bit more, less structure, and just getting after it?
Knowing Coach Williams, I don't think there'll be any less structure than there were the last couple of years. He's a guy who's hard-nosed both on and off the ice, and just likes to get after. So, it'd be interesting to see what he allows his team to do, or where he decides to go with this year's team, knowing that he has some returners. But certainly, like you mentioned, I would not expect the compete level to drop at all off at all from last year, just because of the kind of guy he is and the passion he brings behind the bench.
Well, Dan, we appreciate your time. Good luck this season. Safe travels to Pittsburgh for the Fall Classic. And more than likely, we will probably see you in the playoffs next year.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
All right. Good luck this year. That's Dan from Bloomington. We're going to step out for a break. Then we're heading to Madison to check on the Capitals. This is Hockey Talk on WNFL. And welcome back to Hockey Talk here on WNFL. We head to Madison now as we talk to Kim from the Capitals. Kim, give us the scoop in Madison. What's the season preview look like, and how are the players looking?
Well, we had a little bit of change in our locker room this off season, and we brought on a new coaching staff. And so our new head coach and general manager is Garrett Suter,
former Green Bay Gambler.
Our associate head coach and assistant GM is TJ Jindra, who's got a bunch of college experience. And then we brought on Garrett's cousin, Jake Suter, as our assistant coach. So we kind of have a new regime that's leading our team this season, and several returning players that we're really excited about. Some guys only got a little bit of a taste of the USHL last season, but we're really excited to have them on board. Hopefully for a majority of the season, guys like local kid Mick Messner, who's actually committed to go to University of Wisconsin-Madison. So he was born and raised in the area. He's going to play for us, and then he's going to continue his career locally with UW. So that's really exciting. Returning guys on the forward position, we're going to have Eugene Fadea will be back. He's been with us our first 2 seasons. A2 Solani will be back, it looks like. Again, we still have some cuts to make, so hopefully all these guys are going to make the team. But Solani will be back. His dad is the famous Teemu Solani. He spent a majority of his career in Anaheim. And then other forwards coming back, Marcel Godbout, Alex Bretzman, Marshall Moyes. And then if you look on our back end on the D, we've got Cole Holtz, Robbie Fosdick, Alex Samandal. Actually, he's trying out. He's a new guy. And then we're really excited to have Andong Song, and I believe he goes by Misha Song. He's a draft pick by the New York Islanders. And so we're really excited to have him. He's one of our first draft picks that was actually drafted by a team in the NHL to join our team straight from the get-go to be drafted. So, and then between the pipes, it looks like it's going to be probably Daniel Lebedev, who played the last 2 seasons with the AAA Capitals here in town. He got a little bit of taste in the USHL last season with about 6 games or so and played really well for us. And then Drew Hott we traded for last February when we traded Garrett Metcalf and got Drew Hott. So it looks like those are going to be our guys between the pipes. But it's still camp. We're heading out to the Fall Classic, and anything can happen. We still have to make some cuts. So hopefully those returning guys will be able to stick. And we've got a lot of young guys that are going to be joining our team this season, and they came into camp ready, they came in shape, and they're excited to get the season started.
Kim, can you talk a little bit about, so you have a Salane in camp, an NHL legend for a father. How hard has it been for him to fit in with you watching the experience so far? And, was it better or worse for this kid coming in?
I think he had a little bit of a rough time last season. He didn't necessarily fit in with the philosophy that was in our locker room last season, so he actually ended up sitting a lot of the games last year. So we're encouraged with the new regime and to see what A2 can bring to us. His dad has incredible talent, and it's in A2's blood, and so we're really hoping to see how he fits in with this year's system and see how he plays and see how he gets his legs underneath him and how it goes for him.
No, that's great. Kim, if you had to describe the brand of hockey that Madison Capitals are selling this year under Garrett Suter, what would that be?
We haven't made the playoffs our first 2 seasons. This is our 3rd season. And I think, I don't want to say it's physical or anything like that, but I want to describe our team as a winning team. Garrett's brought experience finishing top in his previous league 2 seasons ago and then winning the championship last season. And so I think right now, first and foremost, it's a winning attitude and a positive attitude. And so what's going to happen on the ice, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Well, we appreciate your time, Kim. Good luck this season. The Madison Capitals will definitely see plenty of you guys here at the Resch Center and down in Madison.
Yeah, we look forward to it, and we look forward to our Wisconsin Cheese Cup Championship trophy battle again this season.
All right, we appreciate your time, Kim. That is Kim from the Madison Capitals as they look to make the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. We're going to step out for a break. The last one of the night, the Chicago Steel, coming up this Hockey Talk on WNFL. And we're going around the Eastern Conference tonight. We've already chatted with the Fighting Saints, Bloomington Thunder, Madison Capitals, of course, your head coach and general manager, Pat Mickish of the Green Bay Gamblers, as we get set for the home opener here on September 23rd. Less than 2 weeks away, Scott. Excitement. Even though summer's over, definitely excited. The ice went in. Ready to go 2 preseason games, once against Chicago. We'll be talking with Rob here momentarily. And then Bloomington. But hockey's back, man.
Yeah, it's best
great.
time of the year. It is great.
As we look around the Eastern Conference, the Chicago Steel narrowly missed the playoffs last year at 61 points, 27-26-4, game over 500. They have a lot of talent up front coming back as we visit with Rob Sanderson, the voice of the Chicago Steel. Rob, you guys look pretty good up front. A lot of veterans coming back. What's the feel in Chicago?
Yeah, I think this is a group that's really excited for this season. Last year was a different season. Obviously there was a huge change with the Steel organization, with the coaching staff and the change in rinks, and things were a little crazy when the team came back from Russia last summer and kind of got off to a slower start, got better as the year went on, and now the team seems really focused for this year. As you mentioned, this team has a lot of returning players, including Jake Jaremko up front, who led the team in scoring last year. Right now on our 30-man preseason roster, 25 of the 30 guys are already committed to D1 schools, which I've got to believe is a league high right now. So this team is really focused right now. Obviously, they're competing hard in the preseason with, the cuts coming up on Monday night. But this is a team that's very hungry to get to the playoffs for the first time since 2008.
And like I said, they're a very focused bunch so far through 3 preseason games, and looking forward to the Fall Classic in Pittsburgh the next few days.
Now, you guys are returning players with 537 games of experience. You're second to the Bloomington Thunder in goals scored in your returners. I mean, overall, it's got to be a great feeling. You guys have to feel like you guys could be a playoff contender come March and April.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is a team that seems well-balanced. There are returning scorers. There's certainly some grit on this team. As is the case for a lot of teams, we've got 2 new goalies to us this year. Not really sure, who's going to break through as the starter between Tommy Napier and Alex Stezka, coming in. He's coming in from Sioux Falls for us this year. So, looking for strong goaltending. We'll have to see how that all shakes out between those 2 guys. Some big returning defensemen, including former Gambler and Adam Parcells, as well as Matt Kierstead is back on the blue line. And then, already mentioned Jake Jarenko, but some of the other guys, Mitch Lewandowski looking for a huge second year with his Steel. Some big draft picks coming in. Michael Hakkarainen coming in from the North American League this year. Finnish product that was our first-round pick. There's seems to be a well-balanced attack and a little bit of an older squad this year. A lot of returning players and a team that is ready to go to work. It was a long off season compared to last year, I think. And like I said, this team already seems dialed in. It's just the preseason right now, but going to have to get off to a good start. I know you guys were mentioning your opening night coming up. We will have Green Bay in town in Chicago for our opening night on the 24th and get the rivalry going immediately, the natural Chicago-Green Bay rivalry in sports, and it should be a lot of fun.
We've had some good ones. I've been in the league now for 8 seasons, and I remember, I think it was John Cooper's first year, we had Steve Summerhays, who was our goaltender, have some really good tilts with Nick Paisolini, who was the Chicago Steel goaltender. And even my first year in the league, 2008, Andy Mealy was on the Chicago Steel. There has been kind of a back and forth with the Chicago Steel and the Green Bay Gamblers. It's been a physical series and really good hockey. I'm looking forward to it, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, it got pretty physical. Some of those games, especially toward the end of last year. You guys certainly got the best of us last year on the score sheet overall, but some big games. Obviously, remember the Teddy Bear Toss night up in Green Bay last year. You guys, the place was absolutely packed and kind of a tough environment to play in on the road. So I always especially enjoy the Chicago-Green Bay games. And, I think right now, those are 2 teams that look pretty strong, in the Eastern Conference right now. But, it's kind of a little early to tell how everything's going to shake out. But a lot of optimism here in Chicago for sure.
Well, Rob, we appreciate your time. We ran out of time tonight. Looking forward to having you guys here at the Resch Center, and we'll see you on the 24th. Good luck in Pittsburgh, and good luck this season.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jason.
All right, that's Rob Sanderson, the voice of the Chicago Steel. We're going to wrap it up for our first show here. Scott Jewett, Jason Hobbick, Pat Mickish packing up, going out to Pittsburgh. For a first show, I think we did okay. We can always do better, but you don't want to give that A effort right off the bat, eh, Scott?
Hey, let's do this. I think that was all right. Let's roll.
We got some good stuff coming up this year, including some old-time hockey. You're just going to have to pay attention to what we bring out every Tuesday night, 6 to 7 here in studio. This is Hockey Talk. Thank you for listening on WNFL.